Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Environmental Resource Center's question and answer. So, today we have a question about what is the best way to recycle my spent lead acid batteries? And there are three different options here in the regulations, and we're looking at 40 CFR today. But one of these options is by far the easiest one to comply with, and it's going to save you significant amount of money. So let's talk about all three options. The first option would be to treat them as hazardous waste. Now, of course, this is our least desirable option, but technically you could treat your spent lead acid batteries as hazardous waste, and they would be under the D002 for corrosivity and D008 for toxicity of lead, and that is how you will manage them. Obviously, we don't want to create more hazardous waste than we need to. So let's look at some other options. Option two is going to be to treat them as universal waste. And this is what a lot of people do. As you know, the universal waste regulations in 40 CFR Part 273 are going to give you more relaxed requirements, less things you have to do. Of course, you do still need to follow what they say for universal waste, but it's so much easier to manage than if it is a hazardous waste. Now, option three, this is a very interesting option. It's also under 40 CFR, Part 266, Subpart G. And this is a part of the regulations that was written specifically for the reclamation of spent lead acid batteries. So these are batteries that are, first of all, intact, so they cannot be leaking. Once a battery is leaking, you're going to bump it back up to hazardous waste. So they're intact, they have been used, so they're not new, spent lead acid batteries that are intact, and they are destined for reclamation. So we are going to find a way to recycle, to reuse them. And there's a couple of different ways that we can do that. So we need to look at the regulations for that. So here we are at 40 CFR Part 266 Subpart G. So if we scroll down in the regulations, I'm not going to read them all, but we have this handy table here. And there's a couple of different sections of this table. I'm going to completely ignore the one that talks about exporting. We're not going to get into any of that. That's where it gets really complex about using this part. But I will go into some of the easier ones. Now, there's really essentially two different ways that you can easily use this part of the regulations. One is if you're sending your batteries to a recycler where they are going to be reclaiming them through regeneration. And that means they're doing something very simple, such as replacing the electrolyte and then they're going to resell them. That is number one right here that you see. Now, if that is the case, you are essentially subject to no other regulations. All you have to do is identify it as hazardous waste, get it recycled through regeneration, and you're going to be good to go. So that makes your battery program so much easier. Now, a couple of other parts, two, three, and five. This is when you are going to have them recycled and it's not through regeneration. So maybe this battery recycler is going to take them, they are going to break them apart, they're going to get out the lead and reuse it, etc. They're going to make a new battery out of the parts of it. That is the case with a lot of recyclers. So, in that case, you do have to do a couple of things. You're still subject to LDR, so you need to make sure you do your notifications for the land disposal restrictions. And you also have to make sure you identify your batteries as subject to these regulations and follow a couple of other options. Now, you want to talk to your recycler to be sure you know how they're recycling the batteries so you know which part of this to use. The great part about this is many of the sellers of these lead acid batteries will take your batteries back for no cost. They have to collect a certain amount of lead acid battery cores. Everything they sell, they have to kind of have a one-to-one thing. So they have their own set of regulations they're complying with. And that is why they are willing to take batteries managed under this section for free. Now, we know that disposal costs are really high for hazardous waste and even for universal waste. So, for example, I had a company that had a data center. They were using so many lead acid batteries, they were paying about $38,000 a year to recycle those batteries. They started managing them under this section and they were able to save all of that money. They had literally zero cost because they started giving them back to the battery person that they were buying them from, and they gave them a credit for every single one returned, and it was completely free. They came out and picked them up for no cost. They recycled them for no cost. It saved them about $38,000. So if you can manage your batteries under this subpart, and I'll just go back so you can see the regulation, this is going to be the most desirable thing. Just be sure to read through it, comply with all of the different little things you have to do, and then you are going to have so much of an easier time in your battery management program. So, what do you guys think? Is this part of the regulations going to save you a lot of time at work? Let us know in the comments below. And if you need any help setting up your battery recycling program, we can help. Environmental Resource Center has found battery recyclers. We have set up programs, we've written SOPs. We can help make your life at work easier. So don't forget to contact us. Our contact information is right below this video. And be sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube page to hear our other frequently asked questions.